probably touched cooked food today before you even thought about it. Maybe it was toast, rice, eggs, soup, pasta, meat, or something warm that came from a box. To us, cooking feels so normal that raw food almost feels like the strange version. But for most animals, putting food into fire before eating it would look completely insane. Fire burns skin, creates smoke, scares animals, destroys nests, and turns a safe place into danger. So the real question is not why cooking tastes good, but why humans ever trusted fire enough to put dinner inside it. Before cooking, eating was not a quick break in the day. Eating was work. Raw meat had to be torn apart with teeth, hands, stones, and patience. Roots were tough, seeds were hard, plants were fibrous, and many wild foods fought back against the mouth. A jaw was not just part of a face, it was a survival machine. The stomach also had to fight for every calorie hidden inside tough food, and raw food could hide parasites, bacteria, toxins, and tiny dangers no ancient human could see. Then, somewhere in deep prehistory, fire entered the story without asking permission. Lightning hit trees, dry grass burned, forests smoked, animals ran, and the ground became black. After the flames moved away, something strange was left behind. Dead animals were partly roasted, roots were softened, seeds cracked open, and the smell was different. A hungry human did not need a cooking lesson to notice that this burned food was easier to eat. Cooked food was softer. That simple difference may have changed the entire human body. Heat breaks fibers, unfolds proteins, softens starches, melts fat, and weakens the parts that make food hard. Heat also kills many microbes, which means food that once carried sickness could become less dangerous. This matters because eating is not free. Chewing costs energy, digesting costs energy, fighting infection costs energy, and time spent chewing cannot be spent doing anything else. If cooking gives more usable calories from the same food, then fire becomes more than heat. It becomes a way to unlock energy. And energy matters because the human brain is expensive. Other apes can spend huge parts of the day chewing raw plant food. Humans do not. Cooking helped turn food into time. Time could become walking, hunting, tool making, teaching, watching children, planning tomorrow, or simply surviving another night. Over many generations, softer food may have helped change faces, jaws, teeth, and guts. If food no longer needs the same heavy chewing equipment, the body can slowly become different. But the benefit came with a huge problem. Cooking required controlled fire. Early humans may not have known how to create fire whenever they wanted. They may have stolen it from natural fires and carried glowing embers like treasure. A small ember could mean warmth, light, safety, cooked food, and life. If it died, the group lost all of that. Someone had to watch the fire. Someone had to collect wood. Someone had to keep children away from flames. Fire was not just a tool. It was a responsibility shared by the group. At night, fire changed the size of the world. Darkness became smaller. Predators stayed farther away, and cold became less deadly. People could sit together after sunset and still see each other's faces. That sounds small, but it matters. Around fire, humans could talk longer, repair tools, share warnings, and teach children what the day had taught them. Cooking also changed sharing. A raw carcass is messy, dangerous, and hard to divide. A roasted piece of meat can be cut, passed, traded, and eaten by people who are not strong enough to tear raw flesh. That includes children, elders, injured people, and anyone whose body could not win a fight with raw food. But fire never stopped being dangerous. It needed fuel, created smoke, burned hands, ruined food, and could destroy a shelter in minutes. So cooking survived because the reward was bigger than the risk. The hard part is proving when this began. Fire destroys evidence, wood disappears, ash scatters, bones break, and a burned patch of ground can happen by accident. Archaeologists look for stronger clues. Repeated fires in the same place matter more than one random burn. Heated stones, charcoal layers, burned bones, and tools near a hearth make the story harder to dismiss. The beginning was probably not one perfect moment. First, humans noticed food after natural fires. Then they learned to keep embers alive. Then they learned where to place fire, how to feed it, and how to keep it from spreading. Then they learned that food could be changed on purpose. Eventually, cooking was not a trick anymore. It became part of being human. Early cooking did not need metal pots, ovens, recipes, restaurants, or clean kitchens. People could roast food in flames, lay it on hot stones, bury it under coals, or cook it slowly in a covered pit. Waiting became part of the meal. If dinner takes time, the group has to think ahead. Someone gathers fuel before hunger gets too sharp. Someone prepares the food before the fire is ready. Someone remembers what burned last time. That is how cooking becomes culture. Not just heat plus food, but memory passed from one person to another. Which wood burns cleanly? Which root needs longer? Which meat spoils fast? Which smoke keeps insects away? Every answer is a memory, and enough memories become tradition. One reason cooking may have spread is that hungry people copy anything that works. If one person found roasted meat after a fire and did not get sick, everyone nearby would notice. That is how an accident can become a lesson before anyone has words for science. The first cooks were probably not chefs. They were experimenters who were hungry enough to try the weird thing twice. Some food burned. Some food stayed raw in the middle. Some food fell into ash and came out tasting like dirt. But every mistake taught the group something about distance, time, heat, and patience. Move food too close and it burns. Move it too far away and nothing changes. Find the middle, and food becomes different without becoming ruined. Different foods would have taught different lessons. Meat needed heat to soften tissue and lower danger. Roots needed time to become soft enough for weaker teeth. Seeds needed grinding, cracking, roasting, or boiling before they became truly useful. Even before pottery, people could heat water with hot stones. A stone heated in fire could be moved into water and make a simple soup possible. A pit in the ground could become an oven. Heat stones add food, cover it, wait, and the earth does part of the cooking. Once food takes time, rules become important. Who gets the first bite? Who watches the fire while others sleep? Who owns food that everyone helped cook? Cooking may have forced humans to negotiate long before written laws existed. Fire also creates trust problems. If food cooks for a long time, someone can steal it before the owner returns. So cooking does not just change food, it changes relationships. Children would have learned fire the way children learn everything important, by watching, by being warned, by getting close enough to understand danger, but not close enough to be destroyed by it. That kind of learning turns survival into tradition. A group that remembers which foods cook well has an advantage over a group that forgets. Cooking may also have helped humans move into harder places. Cold nights are less deadly when a group can make heat. Hard plants are less useless when a group knows how to soften them. Dangerous meat is less dangerous when heat kills part of the hidden threat. And once humans learned to use heat on food, heat became interesting for other materials too. Fire can harden a wooden spear. Fire can change clay. Much later, fire would help bake bread, make pottery, melt metal, and build civilizations. So cooking is not a small invention hiding in the kitchen. It is one of the first times humans looked at nature and decided to change the rules. Taste still mattered. Cooked food smells stronger, browns on the outside, and creates flavors that raw food does not have. A smell can pull people together before anyone says a word. This is why scientists argue about cooking more than you might expect. Finding burned material is easy compared with proving controlled behavior. A wildfire can burn bones, but a repeated hearth in the same shelter suggests memory, habit, and planning. That difference matters because cooking is not just burned food. Cooking is control. It is choosing where heat goes, what food touches it, and how long the transformation lasts. Different groups probably discovered different forms of cooking in different places. A group near a coast might learn from fish and shellfish. A group in a grassland might learn from roasted meat after wildfires. A group in a forest might learn which roots become edible only after heat. So there may not be one first cook. There may have been many first cooks separated by distance and time. That makes cooking less like a single invention and more like a human upgrade. It changed what humans could eat. It changed when humans could stay awake. It changed how humans shared. It changed what children learned before they could explain why it worked. And it changed the relationship between human bodies and the outside world. That is why the modern kitchen is stranger than it looks. It is not separate from the cave. It is the cave made safer, cleaner, faster, and easier to control. The buttons changed, the fuel changed, but the trick is still the same. Your kitchen is just the newest version of that ancient fire. A stove is a controlled flame. An oven is a safer hot cave. A pan is a portable hot stone. Even a microwave is part of the same old idea. Use energy to change food before eating it. So why did humans start cooking? Because cooked food was softer. It was safer. It gave more useful energy. It saved chewing time. It helped groups stay warm, share food, teach children, and survive after dark. Cooking was not just a recipe. It was one of the first ways humans learned to edit nature. And every time you eat cooked food, you are holding a small piece of ancient fire in your hands. And that sounds like an ending. But one important thing is still hiding inside the fire. Cooking did not only change food after it was found, it changed what humans bothered to look for in the first place. A hard root that was useless raw could become worth digging up. A tough seed that hurt the teeth could become a tiny package of energy. Bones, shells, scraps, and plants could be turned into broth when heat met water. Suddenly, the world had more possible food in it. That matters when the easy food disappears. A group that can cook has more answers when the season changes. Cold weather becomes less frightening when fire gives heat and cooked meals. Cooking also changed what humans could do with leftovers. Smoke, drying, roasting, and heat could help food last longer. Food that lasts longer changes the future. Now, dinner is not only about being hungry right now. It is about tomorrow, the next walk, the next child, and the next bad night. That makes cooking one of the earliest forms of planning. And planning makes people depend on each other. If one person gathers wood, another person watches the meat. If one person guards the fire, another person brings water. If food is cooked together, the group has to decide how it is shared. So a meal becomes a small social test. Can you wait without stealing? Can you share with someone weaker? Can you keep the fire alive for people who are sleeping? Those are not just kitchen questions. They are questions about trust, memory, and belonging. A child near a fire learns more than heat. The child learns distance, patience, warning signs, and timing. An older person can point and show what is too close. A burned piece of food becomes a lesson everyone can see. A raw middle becomes a mistake everyone remembers. Over time, those tiny lessons stop feeling like discoveries. They become the normal way to do things. That is the quiet power of cooking. It turns survival into repeatable knowledge, and repeatable knowledge is one of the things humans are best at. This is why a hearth is more than a black circle in the dirt. A hearth can mean people return to the same place again and again. It can mean they remembered where warmth, food, and safety belonged. It can mean the fire was no longer just happening to them. They were happening to the fire. That is a strange human move. An animal avoids danger. A human sometimes studies danger until it becomes useful. That pattern did not stop with cooking. It appears again in tools, shelters, farming, medicine, engines, and machines. Find something powerful. Build rules around it. Teach the rules to the next person. That is why a kitchen is not just a room with appliances. It is an ancient control system wearing modern buttons. You press a switch and a very old human idea wakes up. Use energy carefully. Change food before eating it. Share the result with people nearby. That is the hidden story inside breakfast, dinner, and every warm bite in between. Cooking began because fire made food softer and safer, but it survived because fire also made humans better at being human together.